10 is the consent agenda. These are routine items of routine nature. 10A is a recommended 3-year service contract with Activity for Police Department Video Security System, approximately $18,500 a year. Recommendation is based on Activity because of continuity with the existing system. Also on the agenda is recommended approval of settlement with a former employee. And that follows the terms and direction of previous council direction from the previous executive session.
All right, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, please.
I'd like,
It's a consent agenda.
right, but I mean, in order to move it,
You
have to.
did the discussion.
Did you second it? I seconded it.
Okay, any further discussion?
I would, on item A, 10A,
10A, yes.
I'd like to recommend that we put that out for RFP based on the amount of $50,000 or some change. I think that that's enough that we should be putting it out for public bid.
All right, question, this is on the consent agenda, Joe. Was it discussed before? Did we make
No, this is
recommendations
new.
before, or is this the first time?
This is first time, this is new.
Okay, why don't we table it then?
In the interest of keeping it moving, I'd like to,
You're suggesting an RFP.
I'm suggesting an RFP, but
Okay.
I don't want to table it for future discussion. If we can get the RFP
Okay.
directed now,
How soon do you think we can get
start
that?
the process.
1 meeting, 2 meetings from now?
No, I would say for an RFP to allow vendors a reasonable time to research, respond, perhaps even have a review of the system, review the system. I would say probably a minimum of 2 months.
All right, item A under the consent agenda has been moved that we have an RFP prepared and get a submission within a reasonable amount of time.
May I ask a question of the
Yeah.
chief? You're looking for a 3-year service contract. When does our current contract expire?
We don't have a current contract.
We don't.
It did expire, our warranties and guarantees expired, I believe, this past year.
So
And
just a month and a
well,
month.
actually, over a year, because they've been responding for probably, Activity's been responding for approximately the last year, not sending us any bill for any service charges or any maintenance that they have done. The purpose of this, as you see by my cover letter, is we have a state-of-the-art system that there's a lot of for lack of a better term, proprietary knowledge that was built into this. So I don't see this as something that, even though I understand the purpose for an RFP, but I look at this as like almost like engineering or legal, as they've been building the system, they've been part of the system since the beginning. We're going to have a difficult time finding another company to come in and just take over a system that they didn't build. But you know, we can go out there and try to find somebody that's willing to do that.
So it doesn't present any hiccups or interruptions for us to go to RFP.
We do have a router that needs to be replaced right now that would cost about $7,000, and if we were to adopt the system or I had them agree that if that the city was to enter into the service agreement, that we would that they would eat the cost of that router. Right now, we would have to pay them to come out, install the router, and pay for the router itself.
Okay. Well, I'm one of 5 that's, you know,
All right,
recommending.
so,
The funding for this is from the drug enforcement funds.
Correct. It's eligible under the DEA seizure
all
fund.
right, backing up, we had a motion, a second, that was discussed. Let's have a roll call, please, regarding the RFP.
Okay, Alderman Rosenthal?
Did you, wait,
Why,
just before that, did you make a motion to amend, or
No, yeah, you didn't make.
what's this, what do we approve?
I mean, I was just,
To go for an RFP.
this was for discussion.
Oh.
This is, you know, what's your feedback? What's your feedback? Larry, do you have feedback?
Not really. Because I was out of the room when.
Oh, I'm sorry. I recommended that we go to RFP for the activity contract because it's in the amount of, say, $50,000 over 3 years.
Right.
Chief is saying, he doesn't feel we necessarily need to do that because, we're gonna have a hard time finding it, or finding somebody to service the system, which is what, cameras and phones and...
Cameras, it's a wireless communication system that delivers digital images back to the police department. And they built the system, it's their proprietary knowledge that they put it together. And now we're looking to put it out for somebody to bid for, to come in and to service it.
So it would be $57,000 if we didn't go ahead with this right now. Right, the
To
50
repair-
we're gonna pay and the 7,000 that we're not being forgiven.
Right.
Okay.
So, all right, so if I can understand, this is functioning now.
We need to replace a piece of equipment right now.
Okay.
And the cost of that equipment would be approximately $7,000. And they have been giving us service for free for just over a year, and haven't billed us at all. And either they're going to start billing us or we enter into a service agreement.
How long?
So we can plug and play and pay them as we go along,
Right.
but as part of the service agreement, they will come out and they will send personnel out and inspect the cameras at least twice a year, provide preventative maintenance. And right now, I'm asking PW to come out there and climb up in the buildings and take a look at the cameras and make sure that everything is...
But you want to change vendors.
I don't want to change vendors.
Then why do we have this then?
No, it's on the agenda, if I may, to approve, to renew the contract. The contract expired, they've been operating without a contract.
Okay, all right.
So, and then Scott had discussion about maybe getting an RFP on it, but Chief Steffen said that since this company built the system, it'd be hard to find someone else to
Right.
service a system they didn't build.
And you're satisfied with the system?
I am very satisfied with the system, and I think that there's a lot of other departments that are jealous that we have such an inclusive system that's working so well.
And they are been responsive when you...
Yes.
This is a service bureau in a sense. The contract is for them to service and maintain the network.
Correct.
All right, how about a straw poll? Are you
I'll go
for
along
it?
with the chief's
Are you for
recommendation.
it, or are you
For going for bid?
going for bid? Are you for, how long have you been looking at this
Renew the contract.
activity?
We first talked about it in October, then I was going to hold it over to the next budget workshop to start looking at it and talking about it then. And then when we had this major equipment
All
replacement
right,
issue.
you vetted them, rate them 1 through 10, is how confident you are with what you've got.
They're 9.
Oh, that's pretty high.
All right, so.
Just a quick question on that router, or that, whatever it is that diagram they gave us shows locations with colored dots. I'm guessing that's where the radio or the whatever kind of wireless system there is transferring information to Public Works, or is that?
Yes, so what happens is the cameras send a signal back to a main base, and then that router sends it to PW, and from PW we link it into cable that comes back to the station.
So is it one of the camera pods, if you will, that's out, or is it
It's not the cameras, actually, it's the network, it'd be like it'll be like the street light that sends all
all of them, or just one group of cameras?
just one group of cameras.
Okay. So
Just
it's like one building's worth.
In one building, yeah. So it's like 4 cameras, I think, that route into that one,
Did one router?
right.
So you go wirelessly to PW, and then from there we have those T1 lines or whatever they are. Now
Actually, just
probably.
cable.
Cable now.
It's just in the cable, and it comes back to the station through the existing cables.
Four
And that's
cameras
maintained.
of how many?
Pardon?
4 cameras out of how many? 30?
26.
26?
And the other thing that I did before presenting this was that we have our own in-house IT vendors that I have them take a look at the proposal as well and say it's just within norms. They know this. They don't want to be involved in this, but they did, when we first bought the system, they came out, they audited it, made sure that we had the best bang for our buck, and they said absolutely we did. And they also, so when they came in and proposed this extended service contract, I had them take a look at it too, to make sure that, that it was within standards and we were getting what our money's worth.
Is there any way, because this is the first time it's come to us, that we can just delay any action until the next meeting? I mean, this is on a consent agenda. This is one of those things that I don't necessarily like. This is a workshop. I mean, I know we need to get that router or whatever it is done, and that's part of this contract. So it'd be something that'd be done right away if we approve it. But you know, there's too many times we get something at this meeting, and then we have to make a decision today.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You're a project manager. You're doing a job at XYZ company, and they say, you know what, Pat? You're the only one that's gonna bid this job.
I agree.
don't think you're gonna put your best price out there.
I think that if there's one fault I think we have that we don't pay enough attention to, and this is no secret that I'm going to say it again and again, it's our purchasing process. I mean, it's just, we don't have a standard process that we follow. This is of a good size, but it's not, it's big, but it's not the biggest thing that we would have approved without going out to bid on. It is somewhat proprietary, but I agree. I mean, we're now committing to a period of time that we're going to have to live with this system. And what do we do after 3 years? I mean, now, do we keep going with it? I mean, at some point, this is going to be an issue that we're going to have to decide if we're going to continue with the same vendor. And I think it's just a matter of maybe coming to that agreement now. Maybe instead of a 3-year, we can go shorter until we can make up our mind if that's what we're going to stay with.
If I might suggest, rather than, I think, delaying the direction, why don't we go to the RFP? That's what I'm hearing. If we put this off another 2 weeks or a month, we're just kicking it down the road.
I don't
We
know.
do have a router we've got to deal with. We can work on an RFP, maybe about 2 to 3 months, we bring it back to council.
Can you?
And you're correct, this is the first time, but there will always be a first time.
I mean, I don't know.
By nature of what we do when we present something, it will be
I
a
don't know where you
first time.
stand, but based on what Chief Stefan has said, I have no problems approving it tonight. And I do agree with the two where you're coming from as far as getting the RFPs and stuff in the future, but all of the comments that Chief Stefan has made about this company, how pleased they've been with them, how they've been working with us for how long without a contract. We need this router, it's got 4 cameras that are down. I mean, it's his high remarks about the company. I mean, I think definitely for the future, whatever, and then it's, you know, the police department is aware, you know, that if this, you know, comes back, that we would be looking to get, you know, another system. We understand it may cost more to have a new system built.
And
You wouldn't have to build a new system, somebody would have to service the existing.
Well, like you said, if you could find someone that's willing to service a system that they didn't build, I mean, it's not always the easiest.
and it's gonna cost us $7,000 to delay this. Is that like, can we wait 2
Can I-
weeks? Well, we won't get an RFP in 2 weeks anyway,
Yeah.
so.
I have to ask the question, can we, there seems to be the issue that you've got a hardware problem with this router, and then there's the issue of the service agreement. Can we divide that and say, all right, if the immediate problem you have is the router, you got to buy one, and it's got to be installed. Can we do that without necessarily having an RFP? And then can we deal with the thing as an RFP as far as the service agreement is concerned? Or if we can't do that, can we then sign a 1-year service agreement with the
It
company?
was more money, wasn't it?
The 1-year agreement was for 18.5. They offered us a 3-year agreement for just under 50,000, which the math.
Okay, all right. But can we divide it then with solving the hardware problem that it seems like to me you've got right now?
Sure, I could pay for that and just pay as we go along and pay for their service to come out and do it. I can continue doing it that way. But what we're not getting is we don't have the technical staff to go out there and take a look at this equipment, over the course of the year, several times a year, make sure it's operational, make sure it doesn't need any fine tuning. We're talking about microwaves here that, something, the wind blows. And we've had that issue where, after a storm, things get moved around, they have to come back out and reset it. And they have.
Okay, but I'm not saying ignore that.
Right.
It's saying solve the immediate problem of the router. And then let's do the RFP and start then looking at a systematic approach
But then it's
for
costing us
purchasing.
an extra $7,000.
You're not getting the router for free. I mean, you're.
You gotta pay for it right
a piece
now,
of
yeah.
hardware, whether you're squeezing the balloon. And Chief, I think in your heart of hearts, I respect you, I respect your opinion. This is not a Scott versus the chief thing. This is a policy decision. And we're talking about spending $50,000, and I feel that for that kind of money, it should go out for RFP. At the end of that RFP, if they are deemed the lowest responsible bidder, then we go with them.
Yeah.
But I believe that it should.
Okay, I think we talked, make the motion. to
Would
go
you be,
for
well,
RFP.
I'd like to get these resolved, I don't want to just push it off. Would you be okay with 1 year? Because now you're getting it down to 18,000, we'll get the router fixed, we'll get 1 year, and then at that time, we can decide how many years we're gonna go forward.
Again, you're squeezing the balloon in.
Well, I mean,
You're
it
paying
gets,
for the router
it
one
gets
way
to
or
be
the
a
other.
smaller, it gets to be a smaller number. I mean, is 18,000 the threshold for not going out to bid on a service? I don't know what that
Again,
is.
you're kicking
Well,
the
and right
can
now,
down
you
the
This is
don't
the
know what's going
process.
to happen tomorrow or next week. We have cold, freezing weather. I mean, if something else goes wrong, then we're again paying out of pocket to get it fixed until we get under a contract with someone.
Well, I don't want to ask where the cameras are, but
But,
there's four cameras on 26.
but this is more service than we were getting, because I saw the
2
reports
months
for the other towns with those.
Well, at some point, we have
Status
to
of the
decide,
systems.
we have to take a look at the system and decide, are we getting our money's worth here? And is this something we're gonna wanna continue? I mean, honestly, right now, we're paying for it with DEA funds. And it's doing a bang-up job. We are definitely seeing results of that. And this is something, again, is part of a policy moving forward. It's working well. At what point, maybe you want to go away from
I
it?
guess that changes, that kind of changes things a little bit is, do we as a council have the authority to dictate how you spend DEA funds?
Oh, we're very transparent with that. We don't,
I would prefer to be answerable to the
Yeah.
council for that. There are some chiefs that would fight against that. There's some chiefs that reserve the right to use DEA funds, and I would prefer to be answerable to the council and come to you.
I'm not saying don't do get the service agreement. Do it, if it's 2 months, like you say, it seems like if there's gonna be a sole bidder out there, you could do it much quicker than 2 months, it would seem to me. I mean, you put out your RFP.
It's 2 months. We meet twice a month. It's also timing on, almost like when things come out of the plan commission. Where is it, how approximate it is to the next meeting. I would say at least give them a month to
Yeah.
come out and see the system, to give them a month to respond, which gives us four weeks, both to write an RFP and then also to review them. So I think 2 to 3 months is a reasonable time.
And also per state statute, if it's over 25,000, you need to do
Right.
an RFP unless it's a special service.
And to get packets
Per
out
state
before the meeting,
statute,
so
yes.
Unless it's right.
Would this fall in the criteria of special service, though?
Yep, that's what I
Yeah,
said.
you can make that argument.
Right.
And that's a reasonable amount of time. I wouldn't want to do less or more than that.
All right, could somebody make a motion?
I move we approve modify item A in the consent agenda to include the publishing and review of an RFP with expeditious and efficient speed.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion second. We really have discussed this. Let's
But I
hear-
do have a question with the motion, because I don't know if legally it's going to stand. Because you're modifying something that says you're approving something to say with an RFP. I think if you're not approving it, I think you need to remove item 10A from the consent agenda, direct staff to request the RFP, and then just vote on 10B.
I like it.
Okay.
I move what I just said. You can play it back.
You're absolutely right.
I wasn't gonna, first of all, you had a motion going, so let's take your motion back and
No,
let her make her motion and then come back to you.
Yes, right.
Can we do that?
I move that we remove item 10A from the consent agenda and direct staff to obtain an RFP on said
Okay,
item.
we'll do it all one
To
time.
begin immediately.
Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second for that motion.
Second.
All right. Roll call, please.
Alderman Ludwigson. Alderman Messer.
Aye.
Alderman Williamson.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Aye.
Motion, yeah, say aye.
Alderman Rosenthal.
Whatever.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Now